Hello folks, I'm Josh McGehee here with another edition of Tuesday Talks with the Peacocks. This week I'm excited to be joined by the head women's basketball coach here at Upper Iowa, head coach Justin Maass. Coach, thanks again for taking the time to speak with us here this week.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about this past weekend. You guys have been out on the road for a little bit this past weekend. It was versus the University of Mary and Minot State. I know it was a couple of tough losses for you guys, but coming out of those games, talk to me a little bit about how you felt the team played.
Obviously not the outcome we wanted, two tough losses, especially the last one at Minot, which was, down the stretch. I think we were up by a couple points with maybe 8-9 minutes left, something like that in the fourth. Definitely not what you wanted, but there was a lot of positives to it. At Minot we just couldn't hit a shot to save our lives, but you look back at the film and they're great shots. They're shots that I would want our kids to take again. So that's a positive because we're getting the looks we want, we're flowing in the offense, we're moving the ball, and we're getting the good looks. Now it just comes down to finishing them. And if we can knock down a few of those buckets on the offensive end, the game kind of flips a little bit. Defensively, we had some really good stretches. A couple quarters that weren't the best, and then a couple quarters where we really executed the game plan, kind of managed the game and controlled them on the defensive end. But again, it's just consistency off that. So if we can put that together for 4 quarters on the defensive end, and then a few more shots go in, it's a completely different matchup. So like I mentioned, definitely want to get those wins, but there are some positives that we're kind of taking a step forward with our program.
So Coach, at this point in the year here in your first season, you've had some time to kind of get acclimated with your team. Talk to me about the process of building team chemistry, the expectations that you have for your team, and also what you have learned from them so far in your first year.
I think our team's really kind of grasped the identity that we want to have basketball-wise. We want to be up-tempo. We want to have ball movement and player movement and not necessarily take shots fast, but have a fast-paced type of offense. And there's been some growing pains with that because it's an adjustment and, we're learning a new system. But overall, I think the girls are starting to really embrace it, and then they've started to run with it. And we're starting to add new things and kind of grow the system to where we ultimately want it to be. It's just going to take time. This isn't a system where you really can just implement everything at once. It's a system where, you're going to have players grow within 2 to 3 years of being in the program, and then they kind of excel off of that. In terms of team chemistry, I inherited a group that is very close. That's not really something I'm going to take credit for because they did an amazing job growing as a team, getting close and doing stuff on their own in the summer and all of that. And it was the kind of thing where, maybe we just kind of put them in a situation to grow as a team, and then they kind of ran with it. So in terms of team chemistry and kind of the culture that we've wanted them to have, they've done on their own and ran with it, and that's something I'm very happy about.
Coach, obviously it'll be good to get you guys back inside Dorman this weekend. Couple of tough matchups, though, coming up versus NSIC North competition here in MSU Moorhead on Friday and then Northern State on Saturday. So far, what have you seen from those teams and your expectations for those matchups?
Yeah, 2 weeks on the road, tough, and far trips being Minot and Mary, and even Duluth isn't a bad one, but very glad to be back home. And it's a tough one this weekend. Northern's coming off of a big win. They've had some huge wins in conference. Starting out with Moorhead on Friday, and they're another consistently tough team throughout their history in this conference, and this year the same. They've got 3 very talented players and an all-conference type of kid and Peyton, and it's going to be a tough one, but we're excited to compete. We're excited to kind of get a win, hopefully, and if we just play our game, I think we can find success.
Well, Coach, a nice little added bonus here to this weekend as well is it's going to be alumni weekend for both you and for men's basketball. I know it's your first year here for Upper Iowa, but talk to me about what this means for you, what you're trying to establish when it comes to the alumni network with your program.
We've really made an effort to try to reach out to our alumni specifically, all of our supporters in general, but our alumni specifically to kind of bring them back home. And this weekend is a great opportunity for both the men and the women, but specifically for us, if we just want to bring all of our alumni, recent, past, as much as we can to kind of come back and support our girls and have them meet. The more that our alumni are part of our program, the more they're at our games, come to our practices, or just around campus is massive, and it has a huge impact on our program, on the school as a whole, and for our girls. For them to see somebody who's gone through what they're going through and probably have some success in whatever career they've had, so it's huge, and that's something we want to continue to grow. So we hope all of our alumni that are at least local or hopefully can make a little bit of drive can come out to our games and support us, because one, we're going to need that support. It's going to be a tough weekend basketball-wise, but then also just so they can come back home, be part of the Upper Iowa community again, be part of our program.
Well, Coach, good luck this weekend against Northern and against MSU Moorhead, and as always, thanks for taking the time to speak with us here this week.
Of course, thanks for having me.
I'm Josh McGehee. Go Peacocks.